Well, thank you. I mean, it's our pleasure to have you all out there on the island. And we hope you have a good time and enjoy yourself. That's one of the things that we didn't know before coming to Alcatraz. And let me introduce myself. My name is Jim, and I'd like to introduce all of you to what we call the sound of the slammer. All right. Now this sound orchestrated dance between inmate and guard as they move through their daily routine. It is the sound of nearly 3,000 pounds of metal being rolled back and forth. It is also, if you think about it, the steely voice of the prison authority. So what do you think that this voice, this sound of the slammer, what was it saying to the inmates here on Alcatraz? Abandon all hope. Now to former inmate Robert Luke, who by the way comes out to the island on a regular basis to sign his book, he describes it as the sound of doom and finality. It is the sound of being in tune. If you read a lot of the writings of inmates here, they would describe Alcatraz as the prison for the living dead. Pretty ominous. But on the other hand, what do you think that this voice of the prison authority, the sound of the slammer, what was it saying to the correctional officers that worked here? Well, if they were open like this and the inmates were leaving their cells, I would imagine it would be the sound of caution. Because there's always some potential risk once the inmates are leaving their cells. Now, if they were closed in at night, last time, does anybody have an idea when the inmates were finally locked in for the evening? Any guesses what time that would be? 9 o'clock. Any others? 8? 7.
89.
4 o'clock is closer to the mark. They were actually closed in at 4:30 in the afternoon. So they were in these cells for quite a long time. But also think of the monotony of the sound. Listening to it day in and day out, the rhythm of the sound of the cell doors sort of grinding the men down to stay here on the island. Now, this sort of structural minuet spoke not only of the near absolute control that the guards had over the inmates, it also, I believe, gave a certain measure of relief to both inmates and guards alike. I think there is a comfort to be gained knowing what steps you have to take next, especially in the highly charged and potentially volatile atmosphere of a penitentiary. Now, the cost of this familiar